So we did some examples of positive and negative decimals with base 10 blocks. Now let's do a few without. So if I've got a negative 3.71 and I'm going to add it to a negative 2.635. As you guys should know by now, my decimals are nice and lined up, just like if this were a negative 2 plus a negative 3. I am just going to add the two together and keep the negative sign. So I'm just going to add these guys together like normal. So I've got no thousandths plus 5 thousandths is 5 thousandths. 100th plus 3 hundredths is 4 hundredths. 7 plus 6 tenths is 13 tenths, but I can only put the 3 here, and I'm going to add that extra 10 right over here at my units, what you guys used to call carrying. Bring my decimal down. 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 1 gives me a 6. Then because it was a negative plus a negative, it's going to stay at a negative. Now for another quick one. So if they're the same sign, you just add them together. So let's go ahead and do a positive 7.349. And I'm going to add a negative 9.634. So I'm adding a positive and a negative number together, which means that my final answer is going to end up being a negative because I've got 7 point something positives, but I've got more negatives. I've got 9 point something. So by the time I put together all these positives and negatives and they end up canceling each other out, because there are more negatives, my final answer is going to be a negative left over. So I'm actually going to change the order of my problem here a little bit. I'm going to put the negative 9.634 on top and the 7.349 on the bottom, since I'm really going to be subtracting the 9 minus the 7, because that is the one I have more of. It's not the one that's bigger, because this is a negative, but it is the one that I have more of. So I've got 4 take away 9. Obviously, I can't take 9 away from 4, so I'm going to borrow from that 3, make this a 14. 14 minus 9 is 5. I can't do 2 minus 4, so I'm going to take away one of these tenths, turn that into a 5 tenth, make that a 12 hundredths. 12 minus 4 is 8. 5 tenths minus 3 tenths is 2 tenths. Bring my decimal straight down. 9 minus 7 is 2. And because I have more negatives than I do positives, that means my answer is going to be a negative 2.285. So whenever you're adding numbers together where they have the same sign, you're just going to add them together and keep it. But if they're a different sign, what you're really going to do is subtract, because you're putting together 7 positives with 9 negatives, which means that these positives are going to cancel out those negatives, and it's going to leave you with some negatives left over. Let's work one more, shall we? Just to make sure. I'm going to put it over here to this side. So a 7, I don't know why I'm crazy about the 7s today, 0.63 plus a negative 10.49. So it's a positive 7 and a negative 10. So what I'm really going to end up doing is subtracting, because this positive 7 is going to cancel out 7 of those negatives. So I'm actually going to rewrite this problem because I'm really subtracting. So negative 10.49, I'm going to put 7.63 underneath it. And now I'm going to see, once I use this positive 7 to cancel out that negative 10, how much is left over. 9 minus 3, so this 3 will cancel out that 9 and leave me with 6. Now, I don't have enough to cancel here, so I'm going to borrow from this 10, make that a 9. Turn this 4 into a 14. 14 minus 6 is 8. I just realized that that plus sign might be a little bit confusing over there. Then I'm going to bring my decimal straight down. 9 minus 7 is 2. Now I started out with a negative 10 and only a positive 7. So when I put them together and canceled out, that left me with a negative 2.86.